So did you know that there's a place where every single year hundreds of people get together to celebrate all things mushrooms? It's called the Telluride Mushroom Festival, and if you have any interest in mushrooms whatsoever, you should definitely consider going. The Telluride Mushroom Festival is a festival held every single year high in the mountains in, you guessed it, Telluride, Colorado. It's a multi-day event that includes forays, it includes cooking classes, it includes lectures, and all sorts of other mushroom events. And yes, there is a parade, but we can talk about that later. So first of all, one of the most important aspects of the festival is the forays. If you're interested in hunting mushrooms in the wild, but like a little bit nervous on where to get started by yourself, the Telluride Mushroom Festival is a great place to start. The festival holds 3 to 4 forays every single day, led by expert mycologists and people really familiar with the mushrooms in the area. On these forays, you're gonna easily find out the best places to go, what to look for, and how to identify all the different types of mushrooms in the area. Now these forays are great. Usually how it works is everybody gets together as a group and you'll head off into the woods and people try and find as many mushrooms as they possibly can. Afterwards, everybody meets up at the same place, put all the mushrooms out on the ground, and the foray leader will kind of help to organize them and help you identify all the different species that everybody found. They're gonna tell you which mushrooms are edible, which mushrooms are poisonous, which mushrooms have just some interesting characteristics that you might want to know about. And it's just a really great opportunity to learn all about the mushrooms in a really interactive way. Now, what kind of mushrooms are you actually going to find during this festival? Well, there's a huge diversity of mushrooms around the Telluride area, but the two mushrooms that most people are looking for are the chanterelles and the porcinis, which if you go during the right year, you're going to find tons of them. You're also going to find mushrooms like sarcodon, some shaggy manes, some agaricus, lots of Amanita muscaria, some oyster mushrooms, and all types of different species that are super interesting and super worth finding. Now the other really cool thing is the mushroom identification tent. So in the center of town, there's a bunch of booths set up, there's food, there's some t-shirt vendors and all sorts of cool stuff, but there's this mushroom identification tent. And it's basically just a big table that's got all different types of mushrooms. And basically how it works is when people find mushrooms in the wild, they'll bring it down and they'll pick a type species and they'll put it on the table so that everybody that walks through can look at that mushroom and touch it and feel it and kind of get familiar with it. What's also really cool about this mushroom identification tent is it's staffed by volunteer mycologists and people who are experts with the mushrooms in the area, and they can help you identify anything that you might find while you're out foraging. Of course, there's also the lectures. If you really want to dive deep into mycology and dive deep into mushrooms, there's lectures happening basically all day, every day, again, by expert mycologists or researchers and people who will really dive deep on certain topics. They'll do lectures on things like, mushrooms for health, mushrooms in the immune system. They'll talk about, different classifications of mushrooms or new things that people have discovered in the world of mushrooms. And some of them are just a little more lighthearted and just a lot of fun. There's also lots of keynote speakers. So I know 2 years ago, Paul Stamets was there. Last year, Chad Cotter was there doing the keynotes. There's also movies you can go watch. So they did screenings of Fantastic Fungi. They did screenings of a movie called Know Your Mushrooms. So there's lots of lectures and screenings and that kind of stuff going on. Another really important feature of the Telluride Mushroom Festival is all the workshops and classes. Now, again, these are generally not included in the festival pass, and they're usually extra, but they can be totally worth it depending on what you want to do. So these workshops include, mushroom cultivation workshops, there's myco-remediation workshops that are usually a whole day where, you'll go and you'll spend the whole day learning about one of these topics. There's also cooking classes. For example, we went to one with Eugenia Bone where they brought in a bunch of morels and a bunch of other mushrooms, and she taught us all these cool ways to cook these mushrooms along with a lot of fun stories and just, a lot of good stuff going on. So there's lots of extracurricular activities that you can get involved in if you want to dive a little bit deeper. Now, of course, there is the parade, which is kind of famous, and honestly, the parade itself is just okay. I mean, it's obviously a lot of fun. People dress up as all different types of mushrooms, and there's always prizes for the people that have the best costume. And of course, there's the big truck that they've painted up to look like Amanita muscaria that drives through the center of town, and lots of drumming and stuff. But really, what the parade is just kind of culmination of the great community that's there. One of the best parts about the Telluride Mushroom Festival is there's hundreds of people there, maybe even thousands, with an interest in mushrooms, and in general, just really good community and really great people. So aside from the parade, there's lots of other stuff going on You know, you can go and hang out and drink mushroom beers. There's a couple of events at night, and there's just always something going on during the day where you can meet really great people. And even, you know, we've met lots of good people there that have recognized us from YouTube or from elsewhere, and it's just really cool to meet people who are also into mushrooms, whether that be cultivation or foraging or just mushrooms in general, and, you know, kind of share that passion. So if you're still not sure, if you're still on the fence, here's the top 3 reasons why you might want to consider going to the Telluride Mushroom Festival. Now, first off, Telluride is just beautiful. Even if you're not into mushrooms at all, this town is incredibly scenic. I think the town itself is at about 9,000 feet elevation, and the surrounding mountains are 10,000 feet and above. So even if you weren't into mushrooms, there's tons of hiking, lots of exploring to do, lots of cool places to visit in that area. Reason number 2, going to the Telluride Mushroom Festival is one of the absolute best ways to level up your identification skills and mushroom knowledge in general. The FORAYS leaders and mycologists at the identification tent do a really great job of teaching you how to identify different mushrooms and teaching you about all those mushrooms in the area. So by the time you leave the Telluride Mushroom Festival, you're going to know way more than you did before you went about mushrooms, about how to find mushrooms, about how to identify mushrooms, and how to potentially even cook them and use them. So you're going to level up your skills in a big way. Now, of course, you can always learn this stuff through books and videos, but there's something special about holding a mushroom in your hand while you're actually learning about it. It really makes an imprint in your mind and makes it so much easier to learn it. So I promise you, if you go there, you're gonna learn so much more than you ever expected. And reason number 3 is the community. You're definitely gonna make new connections, you're gonna meet new friends, there's tons of really cool people and lots of really cool events that are happening, and you're just not gonna be able to experience that kind of thing anywhere else. The bottom line is, it's just a really fun event, and if you're interested in mushrooms at all, you're probably gonna wanna go back year after year. So that's it. I hope that clears up some of your questions about Telluride. I hope it might have piqued your interest a little bit. And if you happen to be in Colorado in August, maybe we'll even see you there. So thanks so much for watching. I'm Tony from freshcapmushrooms.com, and we'll see you in the next video.